First of all, I want to let you know that I really enjoyed that last talk because it was all about the sort of academics of this and studying it and trying to figure out if the crowd is wise or not wise, and who knows if the crowd is wise or not wise. We'll find out over time. But I'm actually a practitioner, so I came from the field of raising money. I went to Columbia Business School, and then I went to Goldman, and I worked on Wall Street for 21 years, raising money for companies in the public markets. And my last stop was in healthcare technology, so I became very involved with hardware companies, software companies, and internet companies. So after that career, I left Wall Street. I became a very active angel investor in early stage companies. And so I had the chance, from going to a big corporate structure to going into the fields and actually working with early stage companies. I mentored a number of companies. And then I thought, I want to become more active. I'm not ready to retire. I really need to do something more. So 3 years ago, I founded a company, Women Innovate Mobile. It's an accelerator company that invests in mobile technology. And that company is still out there doing things. But I also founded a second company, Plum, which is what we're going to talk about today. So Plum started 2 years ago. It's a company that profiles women entrepreneurs. And so far we've profiled over 100 women entrepreneurs, and you can buy their products for sale on our site. So we're very much in the space of women entrepreneurs who actually have companies and helping them get more sales. So we've been around, and of course with my background in finance and on Wall Street, it became very clear to me a lot of the companies that we were working with needed additional rounds of capital or needed capital to launch new products. So we decided, we watched Kickstarter very closely, and one of the things that I learned at Goldman was you don't have to be the first in the market. In fact, sometimes it's better not to be the first in the market. Let someone else carve the way a bit and find your sector and service them very well. So I watched Kickstarter, honestly, and I said if they reach 300 million in pledges, we're going to launch a platform for women entrepreneurs and women's projects. And so we did that. We went live in October of this year with a handful of projects, and I'm happy to say that Forbes recognized us as one of the startups to watch this year because we're about women entrepreneurs, women creators, and crowdfunding. So we heard this a little bit earlier. Yes, women entrepreneurs tend to be underfunded compared to their male counterparts. If you look at the data here, females in the US, women entrepreneurs in the US over 8 million, and roughly 5%, depending on the data, gets funded. That's pretty dismal, so of course I saw that as an opportunity. I said, well, if women aren't getting funded and they've got companies, and I'm seeing all these fabulous companies, why don't we help them get money through crowdfunding? So you probably heard this a lot today. Crowdfunding fits, the way I see it, because I'm from Wall Street, crowdfunding fits in the very, very early stages of capital raising. To me, it's just another new way to raise money on the spectrum. So a lot of people ask me, because we started off with e-commerce, well, why are you going to do crowdfunding? And it's to me, they're very integrated because so many of the women that had fabulous companies and products wanted to raise money to launch a new line or a new product. And on the other hand, some of the crowdfunding campaigns that came forward and were successful, those companies said, gee, I'm actually not a company yet, and I don't really have a distribution e-commerce outlet. So can I be part of your e-commerce platform until I build my own? So I see the two activities as very interrelated. In fact, Indiegogo, I know, has been talking about possibly coming up with some kind of e-commerce platform. So I feel like we started it that way, we're moving in the other direction. So what is our competitive advantage? And one of the things that we thought is our audience is primarily female. In 1 month alone, we had 140,000 unique visitors with no spend it all on advertising. And so we are very much tapped into a network of women entrepreneurs, and that is a very engaged network. I think that's part of the reason that we heard that those campaigns are successful. Women are the most active users of social media on every platform. So when a campaign goes live and you tap into connected women, you're going to reach a lot of women. So our platform also, it breaks down, I think, by gender. The projects that we have on our platform, they're obviously launched by women. They tend to appeal to women. So if you have a clothing line or a new pair of shoes or a handbag, that is something that's obviously going to appeal more to women than to men, unless they're shopping for gifts or something like that. But you know, our projects really do appeal to women. And finally, we offer an e-commerce solution in a seamless way. So here's just a couple of examples of successful campaigns that we've had, and I'd say our campaigns have been in the range of $25,000 and up. They are larger campaigns. Our contributors are generally $100 or more, and we have had a 78% success rate of the campaigns we've had so far. Now, obviously, we don't have as many data points because we're the new kid on the block, but you heard earlier that Kickstarter's success ratio is something like 44%, Indiegogo's is something like 34%, ours is 78%. So here's a woman athlete. She had a campaign to launch a new vitamin water. It was successful. It's now in Whole Foods across the country. This woman is from Silicon Valley. She introduced a new clothing line, took pre-orders for that, it's successful. Here's a couple of other projects. We had a woman who launched a tech training program to teach women how to code. That was successful. That actually went viral over a weekend. She raised $1,000 every 30 minutes. It's now covered by the New Yorker magazine because it was so interesting to them. And a woman who had an art project. So we have three buckets. It's women entrepreneurs getting pre-orders, it's women in the arts and media, and finally, not-for-profit organizations that benefit women and girls. Now, I will say some of the traffic that has come to our site, we have about 20-25% men, and interestingly, on our e-commerce platform, our biggest purchasers are men. And honestly, I don't know how they found us, but we're really glad that they do. I think it has something to do with the fact we have very curated products. So if you buy a gift or a product, not only do you know you're going to get a good product, but also you're going to get brownie points for supporting women entrepreneurs. So I think that might be the end of the slide. So one of the things that there's a study, and I appreciate all the comments that were made earlier, but there's a study that was just done by the University of California at Berkeley that looked at Kickstarter projects and concluded that it really broke down by gender. And that was because people tend to fund projects that they're interested in. So when you think about it, there was one very successful project on Kickstarter, which was, I don't know if you guys and women saw it, but it was basically a pair of undershorts for men. But it had this amazing space where you could put a flask in it. And I just randomly found this one day. I was checking out Kickstarter, and I said, wow, that's kind of an interesting product. And I thought, well, I'm not going to buy that, but I can imagine a lot of guys would buy it. Well, that pre-order of that product raised over $1 million. And I said, that's it. You know, I get this. It totally will break down, most of it by gender, unless you're getting a gift. And so I realized, okay, well, when you look at the breakdown of Kickstarter, the demographic is 75% men. If you Comcast, if you look at the data that's out there, the traffic and the interest is predominantly men. And of course, that would be, and I'm not knocking it, I think it's a beautiful thing, but it does break down by gender. And so we're the platform. I'm happy to hear that there is that difference, because I think this reward-based crowdfunding is not one winner takes all kind of market. I think it's new. I think what you'll see over time is that market segments, and it will be really important to have your audience, know your audience, serve your audience, and build communities around that. So, happy to answer any questions. Obviously, we're not doing equity crowdfunding at this point because I come from Wall Street and I know what's involved in that. And I think it's a little bit early for us to move into that space, but over time, you will see us do that as well.
Deborah, we'll have questions at the end after all of the presentations.
All right, so
thank
you.
you.